say?
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Well, it's 10 minutes to 12, 10 minutes to midnight here, Irish time. So, see a lot of people there in the comments. So, there's a lot of people probably from all over the gaff that are tuning into this. So, pop wherever you're watching this from inside there. And we haven't done that in bloody years, Paddy. When we first started the podcast, we were like, oh, yeah, pop wherever you're watching this from inside here. But we haven't done that in ages. I don't know what drew me to doing that. Maybe it's the fact that it's stupid o'clock in the morning, coming up to stupid o'clock in the morning. But we've got Aston Villa versus RB Leipzig. I know the Villa got a humbling or a hammering against the boys from Columbus there last week, it started the week, should I say. This is probably the first big penciled-in test, I think, for Aston Villa. Within their pre-season, obviously, RB Leipzig are who they are, and obviously a club that's kind of came out of nowhere recently has really made good on investment, made good on scouting, and they've got a really wonderful setup there. And Villa are going to play them now in New Jersey, Paddy, and it's going to be really interesting, I think, what team he's going to put out tonight.
Yeah, bearing in mind who was sitting in the stand at the weekend, we might see one or two of those returning internationals. Definitely John McGinn, who we saw in the crowd. There was 3 or 4 of them sitting up there watching the game. So be interesting to see if they've got enough minutes training to get on the pitch tonight. But look, it's all the usual wording towards it. We're building towards what's happening against West Ham in a few weeks' time, and it starts to ramp up from now because we're playing a decent side tonight who finished 4th in the Bundesliga, albeit 25 points behind the leaders, which is probably where we finished behind Manchester City in the end. Someone will pull me up on that, I'm sure. I'm just fascinated by what's coming in there on the chats there.
Me too. So, Vicenza, Vietnam, North of Scotland. Jesus.
Someone in a tent in Scotland. Yeah. Vietnam, New Zealand. Jacob Ramsey was the other one sitting in a stand. Hopefully he's ready to play some games. I was talking to my old mate Spud in Australia earlier on, and he was on his way to work. And I was saying I was sitting up to do the team sheet tantrum, and he said, welcome to my world of watching Villa at 1 o'clock in the morning, although it's usually a bit later when he's watching it. So it's great to have Villa back, and it's great to be talking about football again and not talking about PSR and all the bad stuff. So mind you, there is some bad stuff if you listen to people moaning, and I've had my little moan about John Duran over the last few days. It's perfectly obvious from the club. I don't know whether you saw Elmo's interview where he mentioned all the players coming back from international duty, and he named every one of them individually and left out John Duran.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because, if they can't find a buyer, they're going to reintegrate him. They're not going to. They're not just going to have him sitting on the sidelines because. Just doesn't do anyone any favors, I'd imagine. That's probably the whole podcast in that one. But I don't envisage him being around the club tonight or being around the team in the coming weeks. But interesting to see if a deal gets done there with West Ham. Looking like they're going to sign Fulkrug, Crescencio Somerville. That's a cracking bit of business for West Ham. 25 million for Crescencio Somerville. Wouldn't have minded a bit of that now myself, to be honest with you. But I suppose
you know how I feel about Fulkrug. I think that's a decent piece of business for a 31-year-old man who's potentially in his prime, and I think he's just made for the Premier League. So anyway, it could be another case of what might have been for a hot-headed 20-year-old talking himself out of a deal. but someone would want to sit him down and sort him out, or he's going to end up doing nothing with his career, unfortunately. But some players just aren't able to take direction, and they're not able to be coached. And I have a feeling that's what's going on here.
We'll see. As I say, that's not really what we're here to talk about tonight. As I say, against Leipzig, like the performance against Columbus Crew was like, I'm still looking at some of those goals. Looked at a couple of those goals today, and I went, yeah, they have to be saved. They have to be saved, or they have to be blocked, or someone has to be putting their body on the line. And I was kind of, I was well on it when I watched that game on Saturday night as well, by the way. Well on it. Like, I had 2 hours sleep in the previous 24 before I was speaking to you guys, and I didn't get sleep till 6 o'clock that night as well. So I was well on it watching the game. And I've since retired to the middle of nowhere here to a mobile home. I'll be watching it tonight, like that fella on Gogglebox. Know that fella and the older lady, they're sitting in a mobile home, Blackpool, I think it is, somewhere that watch Gogglebox. I'll be like that on the couch today watching this, because I'm on the edge of Ireland. Next stop, New York, is where I am at the minute, and I'm surprised I've got internet reception. But yeah, so I watched back that game. This morning again, I was like, Jesus, that should have been stopped, and I'd seen it at the time and I'd seen it since. But then I got myself thinking, going, don't really want fellas throwing our body on the line and maybe getting contact injuries and stuff like that. In a game against Columbus Crew, in the first game of our trip, 2 days after plane, the long haul flight, went, it's fine. That striker has scored loads of goals against us in the past. Well, scored goals, should I say, against us in the past for Watford, but. Yeah, we'll see what tonight is, because I think tonight is more of the test. I think we want, and that was a humbling against Columbus Crew.
Yeah, a number of things went wrong with the goals. The high line was cut out a couple of times. Very high line, as we see, and a nippy striker like that lad. His name escapes me. Gucho, is it?
Chucho, yeah.
His name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things that will need to be ironed out before West Ham, and now is the time to be making those mistakes. And now is the time, as we alluded to in the Team Sheet Tantrum on Saturday, is we find out how good players are. And one of those players I thought that was looking particularly rickety was Josh Feeney. So
I'll be back in a moment, Paddy. Sorry, I got started something out here, else we're going to go off stream. So you can continue to talk. I just need to run.
No problem. Yeah, a couple of things happened. They mentioned Ben Christen has moved on to Norwich. I saw him in. Bertie is in Lisbon. Good to see you. Connor, coming from Columbus Lions. Yeah, I'd say you got some slagging after the weekend, but look, we'll do our talking once the Premier League kicks off again, and we'll all hopefully be in a better place. Was looking for some of those where someone is in Japan. Good to see you, Joe, coming in from Japan. It's probably first thing in the morning, I would imagine. There, Richard is in New Zealand. Where's another strange one here? Where do we go? Oh, Sean is in Madrid. So hot Madrid, yeah, I believe it's been hit with a bit of a heat wave at the moment there. Stephen's down the road in Ireland. Aaron's up the road in Monaghan. We've got Lewis, who's from Shropshire. Vietnam. Good to see you, Paul, coming in there from Vietnam. And the other Paul is in Vicenza. I presume that's Venice, as we would call it in England, or English. But yeah, good to see so many of you in here. Somebody up the road from me in Limerick. John, good to see you, man. Now, look at that fella. Dave here, not Ryan. Haircuts tomorrow. Not my haircut. You'll save mine for Friday, hopefully, Dave, and we'll see you then. Not sure what's happening with Neil. Obviously, some issue with the broadband that he needs to sort out. So we'll hang on there and see. Hopefully, the club get the team sheet out in time so we can do a bit of a discussion on it. David Miller's in County Tyrone. Paul Roberts is in Wexford. Good to see you, Paul. Hope you're well. Michael is in Walsall, smashing stuff. Lewis is in Sutton, not too far from Villa Park there. Good stuff. And Luna is in Marbella. Oh, I'd love to be in Marbella now.
Marbella, Paddy. You're pronouncing it all wrong. It's Marbella. There's clearly L's in there. Like
Marbella for me. Yeah. And if memory serves me correct, Swadlincote is up near where Drayton Manor is. I think that's where I used to get off the train when I took the kids to Drayton Manor. Somewhere near there, anyway. Did you get your problem sorted, Neil?
I did. Yeah, I got my problem sorted for sure. And I had to run back to check to see if I'd muted because there was a lot of swearing going on when I saw red lights all over the internet machine here. But Paddy, you're going to have to get onto the club. You're going to have to get onto the club again. Like, you see, I may have been drunk, but I still remember your tweet was what got us over the line for the team. For the team sheet Tantrum.
Will I do it again for the crack?
On Saturday night. Let's see where it gets us.
Any chance of a team sheet, please, at AVFC official.
Yeah, I'd have a go trying to. I heard you because I still had the headphones. It's like still hear you, should I say? But yeah, Ben Chrisen or Christine or see the reason I'm delighted he's been sold is because I've heard commentators on Villa TV pronounce it differently 2 or 3 different times. When Ian Taylor was over in September, Paddy, I asked him straight out, how do you pronounce it? And he goes, I don't know, I've been told 2 different ways to pronounce it. So never got a definitive on how to pronounce his surname. So now he's Norwich.
It shouldn't bother us too much if he's playing for Norwich. We won't be playing him for at least another year. And we'll worry about it when we have to, and hopefully we won't have to talk about him too much because he'll have a quiet game about us against us, I should say. But good luck to him. He gave it his heart and soul for the time he was here, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But who knows?
Maybe
there's a buyback clause in there. But we've got so many left backs on the books at this stage. It was very, very difficult for the force his way in there.
And that's why I'm a bit disappointed he's gone, because he came as a central midfielder and he's a big enough lad, you know. And I think in fact he moved back to left back was probably too premature. So you know, he went to Kilmarnock. He did. Yeah, we won't get into the Ben Christine backstory, but it'd be interesting to see what happens in the future with regards to him. You know, if there is, I won't say there's buyback clauses, but I'm sure there's every type of percentage sell-on clauses and stuff like that in there for him, because I know he was well thought of. But one of the biggest problems that the Villa Academy had was when we got a lot of these players and we're trying to bring them through. I think because of I'm going to say as well, because of the Dean Smith, or not the Dean Smith era, the Stephen Gerrard era, where we brought in players that we couldn't really move on, and we didn't really kick on during that period. Pathways, we had to bring another manager then, and then pathways were blocked for a lot of these players, and now a lot of them are over the 21-year-old threshold where they actually count towards a 25 spot. So they just have to go now at this stage, and that's it. You know, they just have to, and it's unfortunate, but I would imagine that there'll be probably another raft of under 18s brought in from other teams. I would say that we've brought in a couple already, but that's probably somewhere that I would imagine the club will look to purchase in the coming weeks as well. In fact, Paddy, we normally come here around this time every year, and I remember we signed Kyrie. Is it Kyron Pierre or Kyrie Pierre from? Let me test to see if I can remember where we signed him. I think it might have been Peterborough. He was signed as a 16-year-old kid, and I think Josh Feeney came in when we were here as well the year previous.
Right.
So it's interesting. So who knows? who knows what's going to happen over the next couple of days. Do we have a team sheet, Paddy? Anything there yet?
No,
No,
my magic didn't work tonight, unfortunately.
not
Were
yet.
you in your
Anyway.
current venue that mad night that I spent in the former lunatic asylum, which was turned into a hotel the night that we signed Danny Ings and the night that Jack left?
No, I wasn't in here. I wasn't in this place. I was actually, so Danny Ings signed just as I was going playing 7-a-side football, and I very nearly put the car in reverse, came back to do a podcast. Very nearly, only for the fact that I was comfortably the youngest fella that was going to be playing that day, and I fancied having a good day, you know. I fancied having a good day playing soccer that day, when I was about 12 years younger than everyone else.
Okay,
so,
my or I presume that's the team
it
sheet.
is. It's out. I think it's team sheet. Oh no, it's just reporting for duty. Anyway, I'm going to have a go. So judging by who we can see here, I'm going to go with. I'd say he's going to go with Olsen goals today, and I think then it's going to be Carlos. I think you start Carlos and Pau. I don't think it's going to be 11 for 145 minutes, 11 for another 45 minutes. So he's going to start these two centre halves, Pau and Carlos today. I think he'll start Dina. And do you think he probably goes Kanza then right back?
Dina left centre back, is it?
Pardon me? Who?
Dina left centre back, like Saturday night.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Yes, I didn't take too much notice of positional senses because I only about 2 of my 5 senses working at that stage.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say in midfield we'll see probably Ross Barkley and Tielemans, and like it's difficult because of the amount of players who got coming back, and we see this. He just throw them in there for a half, but I can't see it. I can see him with Gomer and 11 in this one, Paddy, and making maybe 5 substitutions. Just can't see him being flahuluked with the amount of changes he makes. What do you think yourself?
Yeah, look, there's no way of telling what he's gonna do. To be honest, we don't know where those guys are at that were sitting in the stand, as we mentioned earlier. So they're the guys that I'd like to see. But who knows whether he's using this to look and blood those young lads who are there and seeing if we can get something better out of them. And are we going to see Nedeljkovic? Are we going to see Joe Gauci? Are we going to see Still Swinkles or Josh Feeney at centre half? You see Diego Carlos there in picture. So there's John McGinn, looks like he's ready for business. Yeah, everyone's there. Does he start Onana tonight? There's so much questions that we can't answer without a team sheet, which is now 8 minutes overdue, unfortunately.
There's a fella after going in there. I haven't a clue who he is. I'm going to watch this back again. Take it off screen there, unless you guys want me to keep it up on screen. The fella went in there, and I have not a bull's notion who he was. So if I lose concentration in a minute, you'll know why. But yeah, we seem to have. Just checking to see if there's any other faces there. Oh, it was Lamar Bogart. That's who it was. I caught him towards the end. The guy who's going to be staying around, Paddy. He's going to be staying around now, and it's interesting because Forest were in for him, or were spoken about being in for him. And
sorry, who are you talking about?
Lamar Bogart.
Cameron Archer. Oh, Lamar Bogart.
No,
okay.
Lamar Bogart. Forest were spoken. Did Paddy just drop a nugget of information he's gotten somewhere there about Forest and Cameron Archer? Well, Lamar Bogart. It looks like he didn't. But it'd be interesting to see where he figures for Unai Emery. Obviously, he's been played at the base of the midfield. Does he go out on loan? Looks like he's going to sign a new contract. Another guy who's interesting. Yeah. Another guy who's we call this the no team sheet tantrum. We'll get a team sheet. It'd be very, very strange if they didn't put out a team sheet, considering they did it for. And no offense to any of the teams, they did it for Walsall, So I'd be surprised if they didn't do it when they're in New Jersey.
Well, they've done it everywhere. it took 10 or 15 minutes to get it out from Saturday night as well. So we'll just have it'll come. It'll come. We'll have a look at it.
I wonder are they later, Paddy? Sorry for you, I'm not because it's after midnight. And I have 2 kids under 3. But I wonder are they late getting to the stadium? Sorry. I did the same thing on Saturday. Just because you'd expect them to be there now. I wonder is that footage new? Is it an hour old? But 50 minutes to kick off.
Well, as you know, someone who watches the podcast was sent me a photograph today of the Aston Villa team bus in a crash, but there was nobody on the bus. There was no players on the bus, so nobody was harmed. When I say crash, it seemed to clip a van on one of the main streets in New York.
In the corner.
Yeah, so I don't think there was anything to worry about, and I'm sure they had plenty of time to replace the bus, as that must have been about 8 hours ago at this stage, would you think? When I sent it to you?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. You sent that to me. Who was, I'm trying to think what I was watching. I was watching some swimming on the Olympics. So, yeah, would have been about 8 hours ago.
Yeah. So we know that did happen because we photographic evidence, and it wasn't my photo to put up on Twitter to show everybody.
Yeah.
But I've given the person who sent it 8 hours to put it up on Twitter if he so wished, but I don't think he has. But yeah, so
it's about the only breaking news you get from us here.
Breaking news, yeah. Well, it's not really breaking news. There's nobody injured and no problem. He was also given. He rocked up to the hotel to see who was around, and the bus driver told him they were leaving at 4 p.m. and then he met a coach with initials on his shirt who said they weren't leaving till 6 p.m. So who knows?
Yeah,
I would say the bus driver was probably more to the point, because to get out to New Jersey and probably get a pre-match meal in before the game, you would not want to be stuck in Manhattan traffic. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. No. Yeah, that's for sure is right. Friend of the show, Paddy, Josh Norris. I was messaging him during the week, and Josh Norris is going to the game. We might have him on maybe tomorrow. I actually never formed up a date to come back, but he's going to come on. He's going to chat to us. We usually chat to Josh around this time of year as well. After his whole NFL draft stuff calms down, Josh comes on and talks about the second love of his life, Aston Villa. Probably the first, if the truth was known. But Josh has been whining and dining Bill Belichick, famous Bill Belichick, over the last couple of days, who's joined the Underdogs network. So I'm hoping that Josh is going to be able to convert him into a whole tender, because actually I don't know, Bill's a bit cranky. He could start giving out about the team. Maybe I get him on. We get Bill Belichick on the podcast. That'd be amazing. Anyway,
what was his brother's name?
Whose brother?
Bill Belichick. Doesn't he have a brother?
He had a son that looked like he came straight out of Joe Dirt, the film Joe Dirt. Steve, I think it was, who used to coach on them. But I don't know if Bill Belichick. I'm sure you have brothers, but I don't know if any of them were famous or not. The comments are going to tell us that one.
Of course they are.
Comments will tell us that one. Wait, no, team sheet.
No, we don't have.
Somebody message Tommy Jordan there and get the team sheet up, please. Get it up online.
I'm not sure that's his department. His department is getting that into the.
It's definitely
powers that be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Super Mark made the point that everybody said to me earlier. Duran is driving the coach. Anyway, if you have Josh Norris on tomorrow, I won't be here because I'm going to a Conference League match tomorrow night. There you go. I didn't think I would be in a Conference League game so quickly, but here you are. And just on that news, we have a team sheet.
We have a team sheet. It's just popped up. Yes, we do. I got some of them right, even though I didn't finish the team. So our team sheet today is Robin Olsen goals, Cash, Diego Carlos, Pau and Dina, Onana and Barkley start in there with Rogers, McGinn, Illing Jr. and Bailey. So who's a striker? It's going to be interesting here. You look at the layout there, and it's Leon Bailey, but it's going to be interesting to see who actually stands in that number 9 role, Paddy. I think based on what we see there. I'll go through
Is
the
it
subs
Rodgers?
first. You think it would be, but where he's named there, he's not named as a striker, but Gauchi, Ziyech, Tielemans, Buendia, Alex Moreno, Filogene, Nedeljkovic, Barnechea, Matson, Dobbin, Kessler, Hayden, then Donker, Archer, Ramsey, Bogard, and Feeney all on the bench. So yeah, look, everyone's saying Rodgers will be standing in there as a striker. It'll just be interesting to see what happens here, what kind of rotation there'll be. Illing Jr. was coming in centrally against Columbus Crew at times. He came in centrally against Ternava as well at times. Just be interesting to see that he do himself and Morgan Rodgers rotate. And when I say essentially, I mean he was playing as that second striker role. But yeah, interesting here. And we were always going to see something like this, considering we'd only realistically one fit striker and Cameron Archer going on this tour, with Watkins not being there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people have suggested that Rodgers might play as a second striker or even up top, depending on what happens with Duran and whoever we bring in the next few weeks. But yeah, that's my that's what I'll be watching out for tonight, to see how somebody else can perform in that role. I just can't see Bailey doing that as a lone striker, but who knows? We'll find out soon enough. But yeah, we got John McGinn back. We got Jacob Ramsey on the bench. Don't think there's anybody coming in there. That Tielemans was the other one, I suppose, that hasn't featured. Has he featured? Don't think he has.
Not sure. I don't think so. No, I don't think
One
so.
of the comments saying no, Buendia. Buendia is on the bench.
He's on the bench, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the bench for sure.
Someone asked
I
call out the bench.
I suppose I can call out the bench there again. So Gauchi, Ziyech, Tielemans, Buendia, Alex Moreno, Filogene, Nedeljkovic, Barnechea, Matson, Dobbin, Kessler, Hayden, then Donker, Archer, Ramsey, Bogart, and Feeney. That's our bench. So again, we named two sub goalkeepers. What the hell is wrong with Unai? We just don't. This time we get to name 15 other players behind them. So at least it's okay in this instance. One thing I want to say about Morgan Rodgers. So when Morgan Rodgers first joined, I did posit the whole thing. I don't know. At the time, was I plowing a low furrow with regards to it by saying that he could? I'm sure I wasn't, but I'm going to say I am, because I'm deliriously tired at the moment, or I was, should I say, at the time, plowing a low furrow that Rodgers could play up top and would be brought in as the understudy to Ollie Watkins over time. And I still think that, obviously, but I think I'd be rather underwhelmed if we went into the season with our three striking options of Watkins, Rodgers, and Archer, considering what's at stake this season. Not to say that Rodgers can't play that position or that Cameron Archer isn't good enough. It's not a comment on them. It's just, I think Greg Evans made a really, really good point on 1874 that like Spurs for years they flogged Harry Kane to the floor, playing him so many minutes. And they brought in strikers who couldn't play up top with him, or when they came in were, they couldn't get enough minutes to kind of settle into the team. And I think it'd be a shame to kind of waste the talent that we have around this team as well, for not, like, as you said, talking about Nicholas Fulkrug. I just like a different type of striker to be in there. And John Duran was shaping up to be that guy. Doesn't look like he's going to be here anymore. So, it's going to be interesting just to see what they do there. Once again, probably a podcast for another day. But
we've a lot of people asking about Louis Barry, and we discovered the other night that he wasn't selected in the squad for this tour, which probably tells you where he's at for the future. Yeah. Other than that, I totally agree with what you're saying there. I personally believe that another striker needs to come in, and we need to get the striker who's acting the maggot out the door, to be honest. So that's got to be the focus over the next couple of weeks, I would imagine. Hopefully we do it on our terms and sell the player at what we value him at. And if that's not the case, maybe it's a case for leaving him on the under 23s for the next year and teaching him a lesson. But look, it's money we need to get in the door. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks with the brain power that's behind it. But somebody needs to tie his hands behind his back and stop him bloody posting stupid stuff on the internet, because it's embarrassing for him, it's embarrassing for the club, and it's something we could do without over the next few weeks. But let's talk about what we have. Somebody's asking there about the Leipzig team and have they qualified for Champions League? Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Go on, Neil, I'll let you go through it.
And that's the team there. So they've got Peter Galaxy in goals, Simikin, Orban, Bichiabu, Elmas, Haidara, Openda, Klosterman, Silva, Uedrago, who we were linked with at the start of this. That really exciting 18-year-old attacking midfielder. And then they've got Kevin Campbell there as well. There is a guy playing up top today. Two guys playing up top today. There's one has been what was a guilty pleasure of mine in Andre Silva, and the other one was somebody that really wanted us to sign last year in Loa Sependa, who's gone on to Leipzig and from Lens and has proven his worth there. But they've not gone slow with their team that they've brought out here. Anyway, they've put out a pretty high powered team. First choice goalkeeper in there, Simikin, Orban, Haidara, Openda. Yeah, literally, you go down through those players. They're all thereabouts for the starting 11 for RB Leipzig over the course of this season, just like the guys that we have on our first 11. So this looks like it's going to be a really good game tonight, and I'm glad that they've put out their top strike force, because defensively we haven't been, there's been question marks amongst the fans. I haven't been too critical over an awful lot of it, but there's been question marks in a lot of areas. And Andre Silva and Lois Penda are going to test us tonight. And that Odrago is going to test us as well. They're behind them too. So really interesting layout that they're going to have as well. And, Villa are going to need to bring their A game for this one. I'd be a lot happier if we had Konza and Emi Martinez to be able to, and Watkins to be able to front up to this team, because this is going to be a real test of Champions League football against this team tonight. And it's going to be great. I was in two minds about whether I would throw myself down and lie down on the couch and watch it, but be afraid in case I fall asleep. And this one is going to be one I think I'm going to want to wait up and watch, because two good teams out tonight.
The same Andre Silva, I think we can tell the story now at this stage. Is water under the bridge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
An agent
was all over the place tonight, Paddy.
What?
We're telling inside stories all over the place tonight. Between the bus and this.
Yeah. Well, an agent did tell us 3 years ago. Must be 3 years ago at this stage.
Yes, yeah.
While Andre Silva was still at Porto, that he was nailed on to sign for Aston Villa, and it never happened. And we'll see what he's made of tonight. He hasn't exactly set the world on fire, although he is a decent player. Doesn't play as regular as he probably like for Portugal either, and comes off the bench more often than not. But good goal scoring record, and we'll see what our back four deal with tonight. Is going to be interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple of people there who've just popped in a bit later, and they're looking for the Aston Villa team, so I'm just going to pop it up there. Leon Bland is in the stadium. Leon Bland has just messaged us on Twitter and said, live in the stadium, Neil and Paddy. Interesting to see Maatsen on the bench over Dina for the starting team. I
wouldn't read into it too much.
Yeah, but I suppose at the same time, I probably think that Alex Moreno was always going to be the man sold anyway. I think Maatsen is just coming, Unai Emery isn't going to want to expose this back line, especially having Onana and Barkley playing for the first time together there in front of them. He's going to want to keep the back four, I suppose, as tight as possible, because they're two guys who are going to get to need to know each other. Okay, if it was Onana and Tielemans, maybe you start Maatsen there, and I would imagine potentially, we might see, we will see Maatsen at some stage in this game, I think for sure. But I think it's specifically just for going out against this team. You don't want to shoot your fox too early. and bring the likes of Maatsen into the team too early, give him time to get to know his teammates, I think.
Yeah, you're integrating too many people too quickly, and you just gotta bear in mind as well that Ian Maatsen was away on international duty and is probably not at full tilt with his training. So we just got to wait and see what the plan is for him, and we'll probably get a better judge of that when we go to play. Maybe at the weekend, maybe against Bilbao, maybe against Dortmund. Dortmund, I think, is going to give us the greatest indication of where we're at and what he sees as the strongest combination heading into the season.
Alex Collier asked a question here. It's not team sheet related. I suppose it is in a roundabout way, but do you think we got greedy asking for the asking price we did for Duran? I think that, look, John Duran's star is bright now. John Duran's, if we were to fire him to the 23s for a year, John Duran's star will fade like a lot of other strikers. Stars will fade. Your stars only high when you're scoring goals. I think if all comes to all, John Duran takes a year in Saudi League. I just can't see him suiting up in a Villa shirt. Can't see it. I think if all comes to all, last day of the season, John Duran signs for a team in the Saudi League. Just can't see
Possibly could end up going out on loan somewhere to see what he's made of. That could be a Vittoria Guimaraes. It could be one of our sister clubs, so to speak. But I just can't imagine he stays around our team for the rest of this season. That's for sure. Someone said you look very tired. I'll just explain to people that you need to keep your voice down at the fear of waking up everyone in your house.
Well, that and the fact that since I last spoke to you guys, I've had no voice. This is about 4:00 today. My voice came back for the first time in, whatever that is. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So my voice is beginning to go now. And I did say to Paddy, my voice could go in the middle of this very easily. So
yeah,
good weekend.
And after the weekend you've had, I'm not one bit surprised.
Jeez, that was a wild weekend. Absolutely wild weekend. So what are we? We're 27 minutes past 12 now. Game starts in, 33 minutes. I'm not going to ask anybody for predictions because it's pretty pointless for the preseason stuff here. But I'm going to make one prediction today. I think Aston Villa, I think we're going to see... I think Gilling Jr. is going to do something that people will be talking about tonight. Why not? I'm just picking him there because I'm going, there's no recognised striker there. I think our front three are going to need to get creative with how we, work the ball. I think they're going to be given license to shoot. And I've just seen he's not been the most electric since in the games we've played so far, Gilling Jr. But I've just seen him do one or two little things on the ball, like little turns or little... jinx past people and stuff like that, just into space more so, not to get into a canter. But it was the turn for Leon Bailey's goal against Ternava. I think that's the one that's kind of really sticking out to me. It was a beautiful turn. He passed it into Bailey and Bailey scored. I just think maybe Leon Bailey's or not Leon Bailey, Samuel Jr. is kind of building up a head of steam, and I wouldn't be surprised if he turned on his left foot today and cracked one in from the edge of the box or something along those lines. We'll see. Watch him go out now and have a shit game and get substituted off after 15 minutes for Philly Base. But I don't know. I've got a feeling in my waters about it. So that's my wild prediction for tonight.
Yeah, I'm particularly looking forward to watching Onana tonight from the start. Without having to come into a game that's already kicked off. So he's the focus of my attention for this first half. So you say Ealing Jr. or Eiling Jr., whoever you believe the pronunciation is. And for me, it's Mr. Onana for the fear of saying his name wrong because I'm afraid of him.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave it at that, I think, everybody. Yeah, we're just coming up to midnight. Get everybody a chance to change into your pajamas, whatever, if you're going watching it in bed or whatever the case may be, or get a drink if you're watching it where the sun is still up. And yeah, we won't be back obviously directly afterwards, because we're fucking lightweights. We're not going to be on directly afterwards. I did it once, Paddy. I did it for the Australian tours. Got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, did a team sheet tantrum, stayed up, watched the game, and did a post match at 6 o'clock in the morning. I think it was the time that John McGinn killed Archie Gray that time. God rest him. His soul, Archie Gray. The time he killed him, and he regenerated on the Spurs squad. But yeah, we're not going to do it today for this one. But we will be back tomorrow, or tomorrow's Friday. So tomorrow's Thursday. Well, today is Thursday. Or maybe Friday might be a bit more difficult for me because I'll be in a hotel that night. But yeah, listen, keep an eye out on socials. We'll be back for a post match.
We'll sort something out one way or another.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a funny time of year to be trying to do this, and then I don't know how you're fixed Saturday, but we've an earlier game Saturday, so we'll get on and have a good chat, hopefully before and maybe even after that one, because it'll be a little bit earlier. Yeah. But for those of you, the over 1,000 people who have tuned in to watch this, thank you very much for giving us your time. 40 minutes of your time at this time of night. Fair play to you. We're looking forward to a long slog of a season ahead. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe while you're in there. And if you haven't done it already, give us a thumbs up. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. We're going to leave you at that, guys. Yeah, hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully it's the game we all think it's going to be. And yeah, really interesting to see how they get on against Leipzig. Before I lose my voice, I'm going to leave it at that. So everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.